ferito, nessun ferito, ok? Stanno tutti bene.
Thank you very much to be with us today to present online War and Peace that we selected in our section Latitudes with colleague and friend Massimo Danolfi. You are somehow very known in Vision du Réel because we did with both of you a great masterclass 2 years ago in 2019, sorry, but it was in another world. You came back here in Vision du Réel with a new project, a very impressive project called War and Peace. It's a huge, huge travel, I would say, in the world of images of war. It's an essayistic approach also
Yes.
about the strong connection between the origins of cinema and war. And I would ask you, first of all, what was the first impulse of that project that link the world of pictures and the world of death?
As we said when the film was premiered in Venice, that the first idea of the project came in Bern, when we were in Bern, and we were in the diplomatic neighborhood where the embassies stay. Bern is a capital, so there are a lot of embassies. By chance, we were there. And we were just watching all these little buildings because they are not huge embassies, and we see Iran in front of Iraq, US in front of Russia, and so all the world was there, and it seems so pacific in a certain way. And so we start thinking at the diplomacy. The first idea came from the from the diplomacy, how the diplomacy, if the diplomacy still have a value in our world, how can we, if it's still necessary, how the diplomacy deals with all this communication, super communication world where we live now. And the answer was, can be the cinema, can be cinema a way to be diplomatic? Did the cinema in its short history somehow help the diplomacy, or has been part of the diplomacy, meaning the, how can I say, the mediation between war and peace? And then we discover another thing. We discover an image, a sequence. And the sequence is a sequence that is in the film. It's the sequence where the Italian soldier land in Libya in 1911. And we discover that that war, the Italian invasion in Libya, actually can be said that is the first film world. Is not really the first filmed world, because there is also some images from the Anglo-Boerian War, or in also in well, there are some other images before, but was the first war that was film in a very programmatic, can we say programmatic way? So that war was filmed to be shown in Italy, was filmed to become in order to become a propaganda. We can say is the first very filmed war. And the image was so strange because there are very few soldiers with a little boat try to land on the coast of Libya, and so, somehow seems a very contemporary, unfortunately, a very contemporary image sequence, the sequence that we see every evening on the news because there are a lot of people that now are coming from Libya to the European coast. And so we work on these two ideas, the diplomatic idea, if the cinema can be a diplomatic way, and this coincidence that the very first war was this Italian invasion, and now we see the consequences in the actuality we see it. So the film can, from these two, the connection of these two, an idea and a sequence.
And this connection with those layers you mentioned just before has a frame, a specific frame. How did you choose the four European institutions that host this narration of the gap between the discourses, the propaganda, but also a wording about peace and the images of war?
The film really took a long time, because this very first idea in Bern was, I think, 2015 or 16. So it took 4 years to be to be complete. Fortunately, we live in a continent that is in peace. We have to be very proud of this. So we choose 4 institutions that are peaceful institutions, because are free archives. One of these is also a school, okay? And the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The ministry is for this diplomatic reason, because the official place for diplomacy is La Farnesina, we call La Farnesina, the foreign ministry. And the other 3 institutions are archives that contain our European history, and contains all the images that has been filmed in a century. And unfortunately, we discovered that that cinema loved the war more than the peace. But probably because even the literature loves the war more than the peace. War is more dramatic, more the narration is easier with the war. But cinema, the documents, more than the process of peace has been filmed wars and wars. And the ECPAD in Paris is the first archive, can I say? Yes, first archive that has been created during the First War, so in 1915, yes. And then we have the Istituto Luce. Istituto Luce is the archive of our nation, so. And also la Cinémathèque Suisse. And la Cinémathèque Suisse, Switzerland is a neutral art of Europe, and conserve these important images from the Red Cross archive. So we choose, how can I say, national archives, the French, the Italian, but also this supranational, international archive of the Red Cross, that actually is one of the archive contains more peace or more process that tells about peace more than war, because they have been struggling all their existence, trying to build hospital, to doing mediation, and so that's how we choose the 4 institutions, and are institutions that in a certain way are peaceful but contains war. And contain, I think also in English means that if you contain, you have inside. So they are peaceful institutions that have the war inside, but also contains to contain is also to try to avoid that something explode, and they avoid this, because the preservation of the memory means that you are trying to avoid that, yes, the war explode. It's an illusion probably, but if we can only understand how precious is the material that we conserve, well, maybe, yeah. The film, I know films doesn't change the world. We know that film doesn't change the world, probably, the world. But if we only know what we have, maybe could be important in process of peace.
Would it be, according to you, the lesson of War and Peace is to build a film that tries to deal with the aesthetics of war and the long relationships between cinema that loves stronger aesthetics of war than aesthetics of peace? And you seem, by the end of the last chapter of War and Peace, to underline the fact that archives are somehow ambiguous because they built an aesthetic of war, but that aesthetic of war can also enable, as you said before, memory, and then be part of the building of future peace?
It's an hard question. In these 4 years, when we try to build a film, every day we ask ourselves why we have to preserve these images if we can't make peace. Why we do preserve if wars are exploding more and more in all the world. We don't know. We don't have an answer for this. I have to be sincere, but in a certain way, when you have such precious material, you have to be respectful, and you know your story, and if you know your story, you can act better. How can I say? Yes, yes, there are some images that are well made. And at the beginning, I think what we think that the images of the pioneer really much better than the images that we see now on the news. But it's not a question of aesthetic. I don't know. Cinema is guilty in a certain way. It's guilty to have preferred images of war instead of images of peace. And it's a young art. It's never too late to change. I don't know. But we have to preserve what we have. Because if we know and if we study, because images, well, we say in the point at the beginning of the film, we say that images are mute. If we don't study, if we don't connect images with studies, with literature, with art or whatever, images means nothing. We see a bomb that explodes, but we don't know where, why, who. We have to conserve in a responsible way what we have. The thing is that it was 2011 when our film Il Castello, the Castle, was selected in competition, a Vision du Réel. So it's 10 years, but well, in a certain way, we work together with the festival. So, and in these 10 years, we've been in competition, we've been spectators, we've been juror also. And yes, we had the retrospective. And so thank you. It was just this, because the continuity and the relation is for us, it's very important, but it's, we think it's really important to work together. So thank you.
We try to honor that all the relationships with you, Martina Parenti and Massimo Danolfi. I would thank you again for your generosity and the very precise essayistic approach that you are trying to build with every movie that we are able to show here in Vision du Réel. So keep going that path. You will be always welcome.
Grazie. Thank you so much.
See you later, and good luck. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye. Bye. Ciao, Manuel.